Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Well, here we are, fresh on the heels of another tribute episode. We're doing another tribute episode this week. This one we've wanted to do for a couple months now. Lar Park Lincoln, the star of Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Also one of our favorites, House 2, she was in.
Yeah.
We've already done on this. I like the idea that we can do another Friday the 13th episode because
Me too.
we don't have enough excuses to dip into this series. You know?
This is the best one.
Yeah, you like this one, huh?
Somebody is dying behind you. Are they all right?
There's a frog. I think it's the sound of a frog.
That's hilarious. It sounded like someone was dying.
It's like this. We were freaking out about it the other day. I'm in a bungalow in Cambodia right now in Siem Reap. We're going to be visiting Angkor Wat tomorrow and a whole bunch of temples, including the Tomb Raider temple that was featured in the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie a while ago. It's going to be a busy day for us, and I'm here with the family, and I'm
awesome
recording in the bathroom. So you're going to hear frogs. Just bear with me, please.
It's all good.
But yeah, I do feel like I'm in the Friday the 13th movie, to be honest. Now that you think about it, I'm in a bungalow that's on stilts, but it's in a nice little resort, but it feels very summer campy. It's quite nice. So I'm in the spirit to talk about this movie because you know how I feel about Friday the 13th series.
Yeah.
I want to like it so bad, and I actually even every now and then think, I think I'm in the mood. I'm going to put on the Friday the 13th movie, one of them, and then I'll kind of get into it, and I'll get maybe about halfway through it, and I'll be like, oh, now I know why I don't really care for these movies. They're all so the same, and some of them are really pretty terrible. If I remember correctly, the one that was 2 before this, so this is Part 7.
Yeah.
6, 5. So Part 5, when I was going through one Halloween and I was like, I'm gonna binge the series. I'm gonna watch one a night. I think I got as far as 8 and I was like, I can't even do this anymore. And I think it was Part 5 that started to turn me. Part 5 was so weird. It just felt strange. Like it was shot on video. Everything about it was just a little off. Do you know what I'm talking about? Part 5?
Yeah, I think so. Gosh, I get confused as to how many there are, but there was one. It was probably 5. I don't remember, but there was one that went really goofy.
Yeah.
Like silly characters. I mean, it wasn't straight up comedy or anything, but the characters were silly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was it.
I get what you're saying.
Well, my understanding is that nobody liked it. The studio kind of hated it, and the producer hated it, Sean Cunningham, whatever, and Frank Mancuso Jr., who was kind of the guy who's been, spearheading this whole franchise undercover, because they do these non-union pictures that Paramount ends up distributing. All of it feels very sleazy when you get back into the backstory behind these movies. And if you read Camp Crystal Lake Memories, it is eye-opening how these things came into being. It is utterly fascinating. There were drugs on the set all the time and bad conditions, and it really just depended on who the director was at the time. And these were all shot on the cheap, but then released by a big studio in the theaters. So, it's just weird. The whole series is even weirder when you get into the backstory. The reason I'm going into that is because I think this movie and the one just before it were really their attempt to put a little bit more money into this because Freddy was eating their lunch.
Yeah.
I think the one before this didn't do quite as well as they thought, but it still did make money. So they just felt forced to make another one. And they pumped even more money into this one, thinking that if we get a good director behind it, if we put a bigger budget into it and a novel and interesting script, then maybe we can do the Freddy thing. I think they were also kind of waiting around too, right? Hoping that New Line would agree to loan them Freddy so that they could come together on a Freddy versus Jason, but that never materialized at that time, and so they just kind of made this one. And I don't know, man, I think it's one of the better ones. I agree with you that you say it's your favorite. You said Jason X was your favorite.
I know.
So now you're changing. You got to explain that. What's with the change of gears?
Gosh, there's so much, and you're right. You should check out that book, Crystal Lake Memories. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check out that book. I haven't read the book, but I've watched the documentary, and I rewatched the segment of the documentary that it was about this one. But not the rest of it, because it's like, I don't know, 5 hours long or something.
Yeah.
And it's great. You should watch it. It's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, we talk about these things all the time, but it was an entirely different culture. The reason that this franchise could continue was because there were only a couple of lanes. You could see things in the theater, or you could see things that went direct to video, or you could see things that aired on television. Those were the 3 outlets.
Yeah.
Now there are a bazillion gajillion outlets. You can watch things everywhere. So I don't think that Jason would have survived.
No.
In our time today. Absolutely not. He's not interesting enough.
No.
At the time, we were excited to see Jason again. Yay, it's Jason. It's somebody we know. He's doing exactly what we thought he would do. And then eventually, I don't think that they were wrong for leaning into the ridiculous humor of it. Like, it turned into, I think in 4, like you said, kind of, oh, we're honky backwoods diner folk, and let's have Jason come and slash us up. That's funny. Okay, whatever. But I think it was 4 that introduced Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
And
it was supposed to be the last one.
Well, and then there was another one, and that was Corey Feldman, I think, the original Tommy Jarvis.
Yes.
And then there was another one where it wasn't even Jason at all. It was like an imposter, like a copycat killer.
That was 5. Yeah, with all the kids at a halfway house or something for a bunch of weird kids, right?
I don't even remember.
That's the
but
one that
then
feels off. Yeah, part 5.
I remember nothing about that one. Like, maybe I've protested it.
I remember too much about it. It really made it a strong negative impression on me because I can't explain it. And maybe we should stop talking about it. Maybe we should just do it at some point because it just felt sleazy to me. And I can't explain why. It's not like there was a whole bunch of sex in it, I don't think. There was just something about it that felt sleazy.
I don't know. I almost feel like when they play marathons of these movies, they don't even play that one. Like, I feel like I've never seen it. I don't even know what happens in that one.
I remember when 6 came out. Because when 6 came out, it was right before this. It was Jason Lives. And I remember there being a huge marketing push behind it when I was a kid. I think it was around the same time the Dream Master was coming out. So it was like the Dream Master and Jason Lives. And Jason Lives, doesn't electricity like hit his grave because Tommy Jarvis tries to dig him up?
Yes. They bring Tommy Jarvis back as an adult, and he is like, I have to go to Jason's grave. Why? I don't know.
To make sure he's there.
Right. And then he shoves like a giant lightning rod in him, and then Jason gets struck by lightning. And it's not even off topic that we're talking about all of this, because we see all of this in the first 3 minutes of this movie. It catches us up, like it gives us an entire catch up, narrated by Crazy Ralph. Walt Gorney was the actor who played Crazy Ralph in the first couple of movies, at least. And I love the Crazy Ralph character. But he tells us all through this. And I feel like the whole point of doing this is to remind us that at one point, Jason was a kid and a guy that went around killing people. But just to remind you, at this point, he's an undead zombie.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
That's what 6 did. 6 made him the undead zombie. That was the big thing. They were like, all right, we're just going to have to make him an unstoppable supernatural creature because we can't go on futzing around trying to figure out ways of keeping the franchise going. I think at one point in the franchise, they were even considering doing what John Carpenter wanted to do with Halloween, where they were just going to make Friday the 13th was going to just be the title. And they were just going to do different movies that didn't necessarily focus on Jason or even a killer. It was just like a Twilight Zone-y type.
Well, they did a series. They did a TV series. That was
well, they did that. But I mean, they had that idea for the movies at one point. And because they were just like, we can't keep doing this because part 5 was just so weird.
You can keep doing it. Keep doing it. I'm so mad.
Once you make him an undead zombie, you can. Yeah.
How are you going to make 12 Friday the 13th movies? Come the fuck on, you guys. Figure this shit out. There has to be a Friday the 13th 13? Like, come on! What is wrong with you? Come on.
Oh, God. Well, here we are. Part 7, The New Blood. And John Buechler, who we just finished talking about, directed it.
I couldn't believe, again, that he was the same guy who directed Troll, one of my favorite movies. See, you guys? I was right.
Yeah, you still haven't explained why you like this one. That was my original question. Why did you suddenly and so quickly, because it has not been that long ago we talked about Jason X.
Yeah.
And you insisted, oh no, that's the best one.
The reason that I like Jason X was because it took it somewhere else. Like, yes, please, let's go somewhere else. Let's stay with Jason, but let's go somewhere else. That's great. This one does the same thing, and I think it does it better. The other one was just fresh in my mind. You know, these folks, I watched all this stuff, but, you know, full disclosure, we were supposed to record this a week ago. So it's been a week since I've done my research, and it may be a little fuzzy, but the director or writer or whoever, let's do Carrie versus Jason. Yes. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fantastic.
It does.
And that's what it is. And it picks up right where the last one kind of leaves off. Like in the last one, Tommy Jarvis like puts a bunch of chains around Jason and chains him to a big boulder and sinks him to the bottom of Crystal Lake. And he's just down there like, ugh, that's so creepy. Like,
yeah,
I like to swim in lakes. I don't want to just brush
up against Jason. He's not down there that deep, is he? He doesn't sure look like he's down there that deep.
Right. Okay. And so then in this movie, we're introduced to this young girl. Her parents are fighting. They're in a cabin at the lake, that same cabin. As her parents are fighting, she runs down and is so angry, I guess, that her telekinesis brings Jason back to life. I don't even remember how this happens.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm still not answering the question.
Not yet.
I'm gonna try to answer it quickly, but I do want to talk about the movie. The reason I like it is because I think there's a litany of reasons. It goes in a somewhat different direction that I really enjoy and I think plays out really well, and I wish that they had continued further into the franchise in some way. This idea, it is like Dream Warriors. It's giving these kids some advantage that they've never had before.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I think that it's very well acted. And I want to talk about Lar Park Lincoln. It's Kane Hodder, who I think is the best Jason. And I think that this is his best performance as Jason. This is the Friday the 13th movie that Jason is in the most. Okay, that's it. That's my list.
Especially the end. I mean, the whole finale sequence is the best. I have to admit. And you see his face eventually.
Yep.
You know, maybe some people don't actually like that. I think that was controversial at the studio as well. Like when they were like, wait a minute, maybe we want to, you know, you take away a bit of the mystery when you take his mask off. But even when his mask is on, I mean, the director had some good ideas here. You can tell he's an effects guy. They've got Jason. Part of his mask is kind of broken, and so you can see his jaw in there.
It looks so fantastic.
It looks
This
great.
is my favorite Jason. Even better than Jason X. Even better than Uber Jason. Like, it's so... I have that in bold in my notes. I love that I can see part of his jaw through the mask, and that the mask... And for the most part, I mean, he's a zombie now, but for the most part, his wounds and the fractures in the mask are consistent with the previous movies.
Yeah.
Great.
It was real clear to make sure that was the case. Even when you take the mask off, like the cuts and stuff in his face are supposed to be consistent. I think his eye gets poked in one of the movies and he makes sure that his left eye is not visible or is out. Actually, Kane Hodder was like, it was the worst. He said of all of the costumes, this was the worst one because he had to actually wear this sort of face underneath the mask. So you've got this like outer layer. So your vision is like two little tunnels. And then he only had one tunnel because they had to put black nylon or whatever over the other eye so you couldn't see it. So he's really just looking out of one eye down this very narrow tunnel while he's performing. But gave it his all. I agree with you on the performance. He does feel more interesting.
Yes.
As interesting as a guy can.
That's exactly right. As interesting as he can. I haven't watched the, other Kane Hodder Friday the 13th movies, so I don't have, I mean, I have watched them, but not recently, so I don't have anything to base comparison on, but I just kept And I'm sure this is direction and cinematography too. Like, there are a lot of close-ups on his face, and he is clearly aware and conscious and thinking. This is an entity that is reacting to things. I feel like in most of the movies, he's just a hulking force. He's not, I can see, if not humanity, I can at least see consciousness in this Jason. And I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
I really like his performance in this. So I screwed it up. The first scene is young Tina and her parents are fighting, and she rows out in a boat, and her dad comes chasing after her, and she's like, no, I hate you. I wish you were dead. And the deck or whatever falls on him, and apparently he does die.
Yeah.
Right there where Jason is. And
already it's got a higher production value than most of the previous movies.
Right?
This whole deck sequence is really impressive, comparative, to the other movies.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought the stuntman almost got that was a dangerous stunt. That whole top of that thing comes crashing down on it.
Yeah, it's a big dock. Yeah, a big covered dock, and it does. I feel like I saw Lar Park Lincoln say something about it, or maybe it was the younger actress, that they filmed it several times. I can't imagine how you would reconstruct that. I don't know. Anyway, so she killed her dad, and now she's coming back to the cabin because she is under psychiatric evaluation by Bernie, Terry Kaiser, Dr. Cruz, Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's and Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yes.
You're not trying, Tina.
Yes, I am.
Think about it moving and make it move.
I can't. I told you I don't know how it happens. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't happen.
And you're lying to me. You are lying because it happens when your emotions are at their peak. Come on, you're holding back. Concentrate. Concentrate, Tina.
And she's coming back. I don't know. Like, it turns out that Dr. Cruz is really just using her, like, I don't know. He wants to write a book, basically. He's basically Dr. Phil or any of the other unscrupulous people that you can imagine that capitalize on people's problems.
Right.
That's what he's doing. But they come back, and they come back to the same cabin, and it just so happens that the cabin next door is inhabited by a bevy of horny 20-year-olds.
Stereotypes. Yes. Horny 20-year-old stereotypes.
And they are having a party, and I feel like there are like 12 of them. There are so many.
I don't know who they all are. I didn't remember their names.
I wrote them down, and I wrote down what their hairstyles were so I could try to remember, but it doesn't matter. You know immediately, oh, here's the cabin of Fodder. Like, these are the kids that Jason is going to kill off, and he does. All of them. And it's fun. Like, I don't know. The first night that she's there, Tina goes out to the dock for some reason. I don't know, like she's mad at Dr. Cruz or something. And I feel like she's standing on the dock, and it seems like she feels like she senses her dad, but it's really Jason. And she's like, oh, I wish you would come back to life.
Yes.
So he does.
Yep. That's basically it. Now, she's great. I like her in this movie. I like she has a sense of vulnerability. God, she's almost channeling a weaker version of what's her name in the Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors, I feel.
Kristen?
Yeah, like a less confident, less badass version of her. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I feel like they're very, very similar. Like, in that they don't understand their powers. In fact, they almost see them as a burden. But when they learn to utilize them, then they are very powerful, and then they kind of come into their power.
They do, like at the end, right? But like most Friday the 13th movies, nobody really does anything until the last, 10 minutes.
No.
They're all just getting hacked to pieces. And like I said earlier, the thing that kind of made me realize as I was watching this, I was like, oh, yeah, this is why I don't like these movies is, and I don't know if it's a problem with all of them. I feel like in the first couple movies, at least, there was some sense of suspense.
Sure.
And this movie, it just feels like he just pops up on screen. And there's only one scene in this movie that I felt actual suspense, and that was the nerdy girl when she goes out to the shed and she's crawling under the...
Oh, yeah, I liked that scene.
That was a great scene. That whole scene was really great. It was really well constructed, and it felt almost out of place in this movie because there was not another scene like it.
I don't know. I mean, I thought the kills were good in this movie, actually.
The kills were fine. It was just like, a kid turns around and Jason's suddenly there. I didn't feel like there was a lot of stalking.
Sometimes it's because he had so many people to kill. I think he had, I think there are more people to kill in this movie than in a lot of the other ones.
It's true.
And so, yeah, some of them he's just, taking the machete to, or, God, there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many, and there are some that are so good. Like, there are iconic kills in this movie.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we get the sleeping bag kill, which is fucking iconic, and it's fantastic in this movie. There are so many things that I want to talk about. I mean, you can watch the movie, you can see the kills, and I hope we talk about them along the way, but there are so many things that I learned after watching it and reading about it that I just think are so interesting that you might not get from just watching it. I love that people call this Friday the 13th.
The actors, yeah. Because everybody on this movie was gay. And they were apparently they were having a blast behind the scenes too. I think
bet they were.
Lar Park Lincoln herself said that, she was there's a quote from her in Crystal Lake Memories where she was talking about how cold it was outside. She's like, it was so cold they had to put ice cubes in their mouths just to make sure you wouldn't see us breathing. And I sucked on a lot of ice, although that's the only thing I sucked on. Apparently other people did more than that.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, I bet. They were, in their 20s and hot, get it.
They're all good looking. Everybody in this movie is good looking.
The main lead guy was gay. The token black guy was gay. Lar Park Lincoln's mom was gay. Just gay. That's funny to me. And I would have never known.
No.
I didn't think that the chemistry between the lead guy and Lar Park Lincoln was anything less than any other movie like this that I have ever seen.
No.
They were fine, and he's a fine actor. I don't know how deep into the trivia you went, but he was from Days of Our Lives.
There's a lot of soap opera people in here.
He was Dr. Craig Wesley on Days of Our Lives, and he was hot on that show too. My favorite thing about him on that show, and I didn't know he was gay at the time, but my favorite thing about him on that show was he was kind of he was a doctor, but he was also kind of shady and villainous, and he was kind of in this villainous partnership with his wife, who her name was Nancy. And I wish I had looked up the actress because you would totally recognize her. She kind of reminds me of the secretary from Ferris Bueller's Day Off in that she's shorter and not a lean woman, but red hair and cute. And my favorite thing about that show was he was this big hunky guy, and she was adorable, super cute and pretty, but she was not a soap opera type of woman, and they were all over each other. He just could not keep his hands off her. I loved that. And then one of the first women who gets killed, I don't know, she's the girlfriend of the guy whose birthday party it's supposed to be. Before they even get there, she gets killed by Jason. She gets a screwdriver or something through the top of her head, and then she gets impaled against a tree through her neck, and it's hanging from the tree. I don't remember her name either, but she played Isabella on Days of Our Lives.
Okay.
And Isabella was super sweet and cute. Like, she was great and everybody loved her. And then she died of cancer. And then the last time that I haven't watched Days of Our Lives in like 10 years, but I still remember it fondly. The last time that I saw Isabella was when I know that there are people who listen to this podcast because they message me and they appreciate it when I talk about Days of Our Lives, so that's why I'm doing it. The last time that I saw Isabella was when Marlena was possessed and she was trying to trick somebody. So the demon appeared as Isabella to try to trick somebody, and then it turned back into a demon. Yeah. Also, R.I.P. Drake. Oh, God, I can't think of his name. He played John Black on Days of Our Lives for like 30 years. Drake Hodgkins, something like that. He recently passed. R.I.P.
Sorry.
It's all right.
You should start another podcast of Days of Our Lives. I think you could do well with this. And you could put it in the intersection of horror, because we have talked so much about, well, a lot of these people just came from soap operas because it was an easy avenue into movies, I think, for those actors as well.
It's
or vice
work.
versa. Yeah, it's work, you know? And it's low-key work. Like, maybe they don't really want to... Like, back then, you could believe that you would be in a horror movie, even a big-ass horror movie like this, and still, like, your reputation wouldn't be sullied because... Nobody who mattered would see it anyway, you know?
Oh my gosh. I don't even think it's that at all. I don't think there's any shame in it at all. It's work. You get your foot in the door.
Well, for some people,
many
there
people.
was.
Well,
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jessie from Full House, like
It
Mariska Hargitay.
It changed.
Huge stars have come out of daytime.
Yeah. Horror came to be cool in the 90s, but like back in the 80s and the 70s, a lot of actors were a little nervous. They were about as nervous about doing a horror movie as they might be, nervous about doing a nude scene. They weren't quite sure how it would affect their career.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about daytime. I thought you were talking about soaps and stuff.
Oh, no, not at all.
But no, like tons of huge stars got their start in daytime, and same thing with horror. I get what you're saying. It may at one point in time have been seen as lesser than some things, but the number of people that we've seen, I mean, just off the top of my head, George Clooney, Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zellweger, Demi Moore, Brad Pitt, bazillions of huge people took little roles in horror films because it's work.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I want to shout out, since we're shouting out to actors, this isn't soap opera related, but Heidi Kozak, who played Sandra, who I thought was one of the more charming faces in here. I can't really say my favorite character because I thought they're all kind of cardboard cutouts, but I liked watching her. She was in Slumber Party Massacre 2 the year before this, and the year after this, she was Shauna in Society, which is one of our favorite films, weird movies. And she didn't, she had that face that I thought, oh yeah, I saw her in a ton of stuff. No, she really hasn't done a ton of stuff. She was like a guest on a bunch of TV series I watched like once. She was in those 3 movies, and then just like a handful of TV things, and then pretty much nothing. It's so weird because her face looks so familiar.
I don't even remember her. Which one was she?
I don't know how to describe her. I didn't take notes, so I can't remember. Was she
one of the 20-somethings?
Yeah, she was one of the forgettable ones. I don't remember how she died. Man, I feel bad about that. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of death in this. They all have to die.
Yeah, there is. And gosh, I don't even know necessarily where to go with it. I mean, Tina, the main guy, Nick, is immediately, as soon as he sees her, he's interested in her. And there's a girl, a dumb blonde girl. I don't remember her name either. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Is that Kate?
No, Melissa.
Melissa, the snobby one.
Yeah, she's the bitchy blonde, hot bitch that you're supposed to not like because, she's just messing with the boys to get attention and take attention away from other people. And she's just a bitch to the other girls. And
she didn't play much. She did this. She did 2 other movies and a couple episodes of Charles in Charge, and that was it.
One of my favorite deaths, I think, from any of the movies is when there just happen to be a couple of 20-somethings, I guess, camping in the forest I don't know what Jason is doing. He makes his way out of the water and then he just starts killing people. And there just happen to be a lot of people around. So I don't know that he has any particular objective. He's just going around killing people.
I don't think he does. I think he's just a force of nature. It's just all he is. Like, who was it? One of the directors said something about how they figured Jason was just a guy who was too stupid to know he was dead. Something like that.
I don't know. Like, and it used to be like horny teenagers and doing drugs or whatever. Like, these actors are clearly in their 20s, at least.
Yeah.
Like, leave them alone. Like, that's what you're supposed to do when you're in your 20s.
Let them have sex and do drugs. They're in their 20s now. It's allowed.
Oh, gosh. But there's this couple in a tent, and I think they like are making out or whatever, but then the guy's like, I have to go pee or something, and he goes out, and I think he gets killed, and then Jason is like stalking around the tent, and she's in there, you know, tits out, and she's like, come get me, you big hunk of man. And his machete like cuts through the tent, and he stuffs her down into the sleeping bag and drags her out and then smashes her against the tree. Oh,
now I forgot about that. And then Liz was watching this with me, and she had never seen it, and she gasped at that. And I was like, yeah, that is probably, for some reason, one of the most brutal kills in the whole series.
It's very brutal.
When they originally shot it, he was like whacking her against the tree like 3 or 4 times, and they had to keep cutting one out and cutting one out and cutting one out until like finally the MPAA just let them have one. Also, apparently the MPAA was an absolute nightmare, deliberately targeting these movies. And that was another reason why I didn't really care for this one either, is I was like, man, there's like no blood. Like, the one thing that you might get out of this is like some fun kills with some good gore effects. There's almost nothing for gore effects. They shot it all.
That's funny.
But
it's been almost a week since I've seen it, but I remember it being brutal. Maybe it's just because of the number of kills, because there are so many, but I know what you're talking about, because I know that you can find some, not cuts, but you can find like deleted scenes and stuff online, and it was far gorier.
Man, the movie, they show some aftermath, but not even that much, you know, in the whole, like, when she runs through and she finds all the bodies one at a time. There's this great bit where Jason comes stepping out of the forest. I don't know where he gets it from, right? But he's got that buzzsaw on the end of a pole. It's like a brush cutter or something.
Yes.
You just see that, and the shot is so good. It's like up at him, and that's coming right at you with the camera. And I'm like, oh, that is so crazy badass. And then he like pokes it at her. You see like a split second of it cutting into her shirt, and then it cuts away.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Again, now that we have the internet, we have IMDb, we can go into the history of these things, and we can learn that, yeah, there was and we can go and see the cut stuff.
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it anyway, but like, you know, if I had seen this in the theater, again, if I had been old enough to go see this in the theater and this is what I was coming there for, I would have been so disappointed. And apparently the director was too. He was like irritated. They were all irritated that the MPAA targeted them so much because they felt like they were trying to give the fans what they wanted.
Yes, of course.
And the MPAA is thwarting them at every turn. I mean, it's the whole point of making these movies.
Right.
Oh,
it is frustrating. And again, I've said it a bazillion times. I'm glad that there are so many avenues for filmmakers these days where they can just bypass that. Like, you don't want to deal with, you don't want to deal with the MPAA, then just don't release it theatrically. That's fine. Sell it on streaming and make millions of dollars. It's fine.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about it before, but I think that stuff like the MPAA will probably always exist, but I don't know that it will have the power that it has wielded or did wield at this time, because It did wield a lot of power at this time. The MPAA slapped an R on you that limited your distribution. Even worse, if it slapped a NC-17 that severely limited your distribution. And it's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, there are arguments about the decline of cinema in movie theaters that I nostalgically agree with, but it's nice that there are these outlets. There are lots of kills, and I actually thought they were good, especially as coming off of the last couple of these movies, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed every single one. I don't think that I saw any of them in the theater before maybe Jason X. I definitely saw Jason and Freddy in the theater, but I didn't see the other ones in the theater. That's not what it was about. It was about renting it with my friends or my cousins on a summer night and, you know, watching these dumb movies that we knew what to expect from. And the last couple hadn't been great, not even good, but still liked them. I thought this was a great return. I thought bringing in this telekinetic young woman, she's not a linebacker, you know, she's a typical young woman. And to put her against what at the time I thought was the most formidable Jason, zombie Jason, bones out, indestructible. Like, what the are you gonna do? Hit him with some telekinesis. You know,
yeah, that's right.
She's timid in the beginning. She doesn't know how to control her powers. You know, just like with, you know, Elphaba from Wicked. Like, it all hinges on her emotions. Like, she has to be emotionally heightened, angry, scared, something to be able to use these powers. And initially, early in the movie, she doesn't know how to control that. But when faced with mortal danger, she has to learn to control it, and she does. And ultimately, in the end, she's using these powers against him. Now, it looks stupid.
Yes.
But the idea
is awesome.
Fantastic.
They don't have the cool. They're in such a box with these movies, right? Like, they don't have the coolness that you got with Freddy, where you've got this dream reality and you can do all kinds of cool stuff. So she kind of turns and stares and then thinks something happens.
She looks very intently. Like, I thought she did a good job. Like, I get it.
Good
like,
as she could.
Especially at this time, like, you are Carrie. I'm doing the close up on you. Like, get really intense in your face. Like, just tense every muscle in your face. Like, look so intently into the camera that your face trembles. I get it. It's fine.
To give the gal credit, I mean, you know, we are attributing her. She did her research. She apparently sought out real psychics. Now,
that's right.
There is no such thing. I'm just going to go on record and say that it's all bullshit. But, like, you know,
well,
at least these real quote unquote psychics told her, we're portrayed so corny in movies and things. It's not like that. You know, you just need to have an intent look on your face. Don't, like, do weird hoodoo things or go all crazy eyed or anything like that when you're looking at it. And that plays a little better, not as hokey, I suppose.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job.
Yeah.
Just to put it out there, I don't necessarily disbelieve in those things. I think there are all kinds of things that I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen it, but I don't necessarily disbelieve in those things. And I mean, even just weird shit, like just intuition and deja vu. Like,
it's all explainable.
Well, it suggests...
It's just part of our psychology.
That's fine. It may all be explainable. It doesn't mean I disbelieve in it. I think if it turned out that people had telekinesis, sure, we could find a reason to explain that. But that doesn't mean that I disbelieve it. But that doesn't matter. In this movie, she has telekinesis, and I don't know, she throws lamps at him.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great scene. And like, she makes his hockey mask has like straps on it, and she makes the straps like tighten so it like constricts his head, like it almost like crushes his head.
Yeah.
And then it breaks off. Then that's when you see zombie Jason.
He's awesome.
You alluded to this earlier, but I thought he looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Apparently the producer was very much against like just showing his face at all. Like,
sure,
leave the mask on, and they didn't, obviously, and I think he looks great. He does. I mean, he looks like a monster, but I think that it's smart at this point in the series to just establish that. Like,
you might as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's Freddy. He's supernatural. There's no getting around that. Like, he's come back from the dead 100 times. We just have to accept the fact at this point that he is clearly a supernatural being.
I get the idea, right? Like, Mike Myers is creepy because there's just a faceless person. Like, this could be anything. It could be nothing. It's like a force behind the mask. It's the pure evil thing. It's just, you don't want to see the eyes darting left and right and necessarily thought going into it. You just want to feel like this is just an unstoppable, spooky force. It's definitely creepier. But this is not the first time we've seen Jason's face. And
No.
it's probably the best we've seen of Jason's face. You know, they were making all this stuff up as they went along. So obviously in the first movie, there's that jump scare at the end where we see this deformity. I think in the second movie, doesn't he come in through a window when you see his face? Or the third one, I can't remember which.
Yeah.
If you're looking to do different things and new stuff with him, then this is about the time. Part 7 is probably plenty of time for us to have waited to see zombie Jason's face. And I was happy to see it. And I was also happy to not see it a lot after that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, get the mask back on, get him a new mask. That's fine. And, you know, the mask, it's interesting, you know, non-horror fans just associate Jason with the mask, but the mask didn't even come around until part 3. I mean, Jason technically was in part 1. I know that I'm preaching to the choir. Anybody who's listening to this already knows this, but your typical, you know, your non-horror fan just doesn't know that masked Jason, hockey masked Jason didn't come around until halfway through the 3rd movie. But yeah, now at this point, don't take him out of it. Get that fella a new mask.
I'm glad he got a new hockey mask too, and not the burlap sack.
Right. I liked the burlap sack. I thought it, like, with the one hole that I liked it.
So many non-horror fans would never even believe that that's the case.
Yeah. But anyway, she fights him. She like throws TVs and lamps at him, and it looks like they're very slowly moving towards him on wires, but they knock him down. They knock him down the stairs, and they knock him like through the floor into the basement. And then when she gets into the basement, I don't remember how exactly it happens, but like, I don't know if she like squirts him with gasoline with her mind. Like, it's all just with her mind.
Yeah.
It's just close-ups of her, like, looking very intense and like shifting her eyes back and forth, but she's like making things happen with her mind. And she shoots him with fuel or something, and then like shoots fire out of the furnace, and he catches on fire, and she and her boyfriend run away, and then the house explodes like a goddamn nuclear bomb landed on it.
But you can't. Okay, so at what point is she running away from him? Is it this house where the thing falls on him, the porch?
I don't remember if it's the same.
They go to another cabin, right?
That's right. No, I feel like the house explodes like a bomb, but then he comes out anyway.
Yes.
Like he's still not dead.
Yeah.
And then that's when she makes I don't remember how she eventually kills him.
I remember how it kills him. We cannot not talk about that. But first, the freaking porch crashes down on him. And that was another thing where I was like, oh my God, did they not kill somebody doing this? I thought surely this was like a Jason dummy standing there, because that just drops.
Yeah, and it's on fire.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make any sense. Like, literally, they're running away from the house. It explodes. Like, there was a propane tank in there or something. Like, and I think I read something about how it exploded much more than they had anticipated. Like, it was kind of insane. It doesn't even make any sense that porch, nothing would have been a hole in the ground.
Standing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But you're right.
And apparently that was Kane Hodder who got that thing dropped on him. And he was like, that was insane. He said that they made it out of balsa wood. And so the idea was that it would just drop on him and it wouldn't hurt. But he was like, people don't realize, depending on how you construct the thing out of balsa wood.
It's still heavy.
It's still pretty bad. And this like 700-pound thing came crashing down on him and put him through the floor there. And he endured that. He also, I know we've mentioned it on a previous podcast, but I think up to this point, this was the longest fire stunt that had ever been done, right? And it was also the first time that they showed ignition. Usually with these movies, when they do a fire stunt in a movie, somebody kind of lights a guy and then they start yelling action, or he runs out of a place or whatever and he's already on fire.
Right.
They actually rigged up a system for that fire to shoot out from the furnace there so that you could see in one whole shot on the camera him actually getting ignited by the flames. And then Kane Hodder was on fire forever. And it was it was pretty miraculous at the time, apparently.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic, but I mean, he's still alive. He's zombie Jason or whatever. So he doesn't chase, like, they think they're okay. Lar Park Lincoln and her boyfriend end up on the dock and they think that everything's okay, but then Jason shows up and is kind of like fighting with her and him, I guess. So she does some kind of like head thing, and her dead father leaps up from under the water and puts his chain around Jason and drags him back down. Basically, essentially. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense at all.
No, on like 5 different levels. I mean, really? Her dad died and they just left him down there?
Right. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. And he still looks like he died an hour ago. Now, I did read, okay, so the producer hated the Jason makeup look, and so the maskless look, and so I guess there was a makeup design for this guy to look like he had been under the water for years, which still doesn't make any sense. But the producer insisted that they take it out and that they shoot with him and just regular, which is stupid and doesn't make any sense and just seems vindictive. And like, you as the producer don't understand at all what these movies are.
Yeah. Why is it the hill you have to die on? You know, of all the things, it's so strange. I have to say, I was rolling my eyes at that point. I had forgotten that was how he went down. And as it's dumb for every reason that we said. And I guess that just puts Jason back in chains at the bottom of the lake.
Right.
I forgot how part 8 opens up.
I don't remember. All I remember in part 8 is like they start in a yacht on Camp Crystal Lake and Jason gets on it somehow.
God.
And then they ride that yacht to New York. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. And it's dumb. And it's called Jason Takes Manhattan or something like that.
That's when I gave up.
No, and he's only in New York for like the last 10 minutes of the movie. Like, it all takes place on this dumb
so disappointing.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's not, well, I'm not going to say it's terrible because I still enjoyed it, but it's dumb and it is misleading and disappointing. This movie, however, again, like, we were going to talk about it a week ago, but you're traveling and it didn't work out, and so it's been a while. When I came off of watching it, I was like so happy. Like, I love this movie. It's so good. And I do, honestly, even considering Jason X, I have to put Freddy versus Jason in an entirely different category. Like, I kind of can't compare them. But in the Friday the 13th series, this is definitely by far my favorite. Lar Park Lincoln, there had been talks for a long time about doing a Friday the 13th movie. Well, a couple of things. Either where they just brought back all of the survivors as their characters, or they did kind of a New Nightmare type of thing where they brought back the actresses playing themselves. And there are a couple of fan-made Friday the 13th films that Lar Park Lincoln is in and that other actors from the franchise are in. And I've read good things about them, but I haven't watched them, so I can't endorse them. But I would have liked to have seen something like this, and I'm sad that she's gone. And she was relatively young. She had a full life, you know, she was married, had children. One of her daughters is following in her footsteps in acting now. She did great things. She put together a foundation for young actors and like helped them, you know, with auditions and stuff like that. Like, she did a lot of great things. I really only know her from this and House 2. And she has a small role in House 2, and she's not even a likable character really in that movie.
Right.
But for whatever reason, whether it's this movie or that movie, both of which I loved, that movie I watched more than I watched this movie. But she's cemented in my mind. I know her. At least I know what she looked like at this time. She was young and fresh. She had kind of a Meg Ryan, like a young Meg Ryan look to her.
Yeah.
These striking, piercing blue eyes. You know, she was blonde in this movie. She was brunette in House 2. Who knows what her natural hair color was? Who cares? You look at her IMDb profile, and it's a more recent picture of her, and just still strikingly beautiful. And I know she wasn't a huge star or anything, but I remember her, and I will remember her. And, you know, we do these we don't tribute every single celebrity who dies.
Right.
I don't know. When it's somebody that we remember fondly, I like doing these things because I like to give them their flowers. So, you know, she passed away of breast cancer. I think she struggled with breast cancer for a very long time.
Yeah.
But she put up a good fight, and she was a cool person, and kudos to you. Rest in peace, Lar Park Lincoln.
Amen. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. Let us know what you thought about this Friday the 13th movie, how it stacks up against the others. If you were just bored out of your mind about halfway through it like I was, only to perk up at the end for the big finale, or if you were like Craig, this is the best in the series, you know, just let us know. We want to hear from you. You can also shoot us a voice message by going to our website, chainsawhorror.com, and click Talk to Us. And right there, just leave us a quick voice message and we will play it on air in a future episode if you are bold enough to do that. We'd love to hear from you there. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter by going to our website again and click that link, and we send out what's been going on in the world of horror, just a few tidbits that you might have overlooked over the last week, and let you know what's coming up in the episodes that we've done in the past. If you are really a big fan, you can support us by becoming a patron of the show and get a bunch of goodies. You can do that by going to patreon.com/chainsawpodcast for just $5 a month. Get the complete unedited version of this episode, which would be a lot of fun, as well as the mini-sodes that we put up there, reviews, chatter, a book club that's going strong. $5 a month gets you access to all that and our undying gratitude. Until next time, I am Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With two guys and a chainsaw.